Right now, please use the chat and share with me any questions you might have. Thank you. We don't plot quantitative risk management or quantitative measuring in a heat map. Okay? Heat map is only qualitative analysis. In quantitative risk management, we care about these profiles, understanding the quantitative impact of that profile. For doing that one, for every risk register, what we get is trying to understand how to quantify the impact of that risk that you are identifying. Okay? That is important because here, heat map, this one is just a categorical. It's classifying risk by categories. That is not giving you the quantitative exposure. So here, based upon of this number, minimum, maximum, most likely, worst case, best case, and so on, we are able to generate ranges of information, data points around those numbers to create this profile, running tornado analysis, running and any other sensitivity analysis method we have. The guys working in the risk register, risk identification. So we are pushing that line to the frontier of quantitative risk management. This is why this information, how you present that information to the decision maker is by tornado analysis, by sensitivity analysis profile or risk profile. In the 80% of the exposure to project management, the traditional way is we have the project and immediately we jump to the detailed plan. The sooner you do that one, you are jumping really quick to do this strategy, and you are forgetting what are the interrelation of these activities. You are increasing the likelihood you are going to overrun on time. When the organization don't sit down a little bit to understand the risk and trying to quantify, even getting the approval to go ahead with the project or to start monitoring the project during the process, they are increasing the likelihood to make the project running late. Because imagine you have a lot of dynamics in the project and they are not getting the right information that help you to make that acceleration or that protection to the project. That is what I said. I have the network diagram of this engineering and construction project. Okay. Based upon of this information, I introduce the most likely numbers. Okay, the most likely numbers that the project plan has. Of course, because the technology gives me also the flexibility to introduce variation, tolerance around that number. When I run this one, this project gives me that is the critical path. Okay, this is the critical path. The longest duration to complete the project. The project plan tells you this one. You want to be sure what is the probability of reaching that critical path. With what probability? What is the odds that this is the critical path? Is it 100%? Is the stronger critical path 100%? Is 90%? Is 50%? So what we do is we run the optimization process, okay? With this optimization process, I'm running a simulation around that one. Of course, it's taking the information of the most likely, and it's telling me the critical path you detect has 55% of probability being the critical path. That means there are other critical paths there, but associated with this uncertainty. If this number changes, same project, okay? This number changes, look at it. I change some of the numbers, okay? Because certain activities delay, other activities accelerate, which is example of coronavirus. When I run the model again, and I start evaluating what is the uncertainty around this model, the critical path change. Right now, with the new uncertainty, this is the likelihood of the critical path. So the critical path changes because the assumption changing, certain activities are completing, and so forth. That is dynamic. This is the technology we use, okay? That is a new patented technology, or 5 years in the market already. We are improving introducing new user experience in that one. That is the technology, and please email me directly and I give you access to the software. The name is ROP Project Management, it's Real Option Valuation Project Management. Somebody is asking me here is how much is too much analysis? Nowadays we have a lot of application technologies out there that help you to configure the network, to create that one, and the rest is just sit down. If you have certain data, put it there, because these are dynamic models. When you have, the most important is getting the network. When you have the network, every time the project progresses, you have more time to put new data and get again the results and so forth. If you want to do this in the detailed plan, it's too much. You are not going to have time to do that one. And actually, the information you are going to get there is not really stable, because you are working in the really narrow interconnection milestone of the activity. Right now, you are changing a little bit the paradigm. It's a paradigm shift, because in the past, the detailed plan is working in the deterministic. The single point estimate is more risky than at least working in a range, in a minimum, most likely approach. If you are doing this one in the wrong way, in the really detailed plan, yeah, that is time consuming, that is cost. You don't need to have the full data to start the project. Start with the information you have, because with that information it's better that start believing that the project is going to complete in 100 days in a single point estimate. If you are able to start getting certain ranges, the risk quantification starts giving you the guidelines. I need to start working and getting more information, engaging with the contractor, engaging with the asset operator, the other project managers, my team, to get more data. But that is a sequential process. When you work in the project planner, whatever happens with the permit increases the risk of that activity. On top of the estimation, can be 10 days, can be 20 days. This is why it's really important that you work in activity days. Activity days means that you are able to visualize what activity that permit impacts. Because, for example, if the permit is not affecting the design and it's not affecting the data sheet that you are providing to the vendor or to the procurement department, that activity is not going to impact there. But you need to know, and this is why the critical path can change. Because if you can see procurement is working, design is working, because it doesn't depend on that one, but you have one activity, which is construction, for example, that depends on permit, that activity should centralize that risk. Of course, there are other risks that are really difficult to attach into the project management perspective, specific health, safety, environmental risk. The organization needs to how they are going to mitigate or transfer or reduce that risk as well. But if you have something that you are detecting that impacting certain activity, start questioning that number, because the most likely the detailed plan number is not going to be there. You need to start introducing tolerance. Information or the uncertainty disappear, you are not able to update the plan. So what are you going to do is using that uncertainty, using in the network, and you have more control always. I always get on board talking about money. When you said this project can complete in 100 days, but you have 25% chances that the project is going to be completed in 200 days, so that is driving behavior. If you tell the guy, if you don't do this one, you don't control the risk in this activity centralizes 75% of the risk, and that is 75% of the risk profile, that means the project can overrun 3 or 4 million. And that is really important, because remember, decision makers, managers, project managers, when they are really close to the board members, to the CEO, the CFO, and so forth, when they are really close here, these guys are accountable for the money they get. You present the same report that you are going to present and put additional 2 pages, one executive summary, saying these are the risks of the project, These are the potential risks, and these are the potential overrun in cost or liquidity, cash flows, operating in expenditure, maintenance expenditure, or something like that. Understanding the network can save a lot of money to the organization as well when they are signing the contract. Or the contractor, they want to transfer certain risk to the client, or the client, they need to be protected against certain risk of the contractor. So it's using the same methodology, the same approach, or a more decision-making support mechanism. It's associated with uncertainty. If you don't have uncertainty, you know what is the outcome. There is no risk. But risk is also associated with who owns the decision. I put the example of COVID as an event. How I can model this type of thing? One of the ways I used to do it, I remember when I did some projects in Latin America with BP, I get the data from the climate, the weather condition, the last year, the last month, and so on, and I try to observe and determine what days we are going to likely have a best condition, and immediately the company knows what activities they need to reallocate the resources in order to start integrating that event into the project management.